I have finally got around to selling on Vinted. I've been selling on eBay for a couple of months now, and I did quite well in the start and shifted a few things. I made about £230, but of course you're doing all your own postage, and postage costs are just so difficult to track. There's also fees, so that 231 was, I think, my profit margin, and all the fees and things come out after that. Vinted was recommended by another YouTube channel person, and I've thought about giving it a go before and just couldn't be bothered because I was put off by, you have to send the item and the person who receives it decides if they want to keep it before you get paid, and I was like, not sure how I feel about that, but I decided to give it a go. So I've pulled out everything that was still left on eBay that hadn't sold, and I've listed everything on Vinted, and I've been on there a week and a half, and I've sold 4 things already, things that I could not shift on eBay. They're not great prices, but I am selling stuff that I've had for a long time, or things that were gifted to me and didn't cost me anything in the first place. The thing that I really love is that you don't have to deal with the postage. So when somebody buys something, they buy the shipping their end, and Vinted emails you the shipping label, which you can either print at home or at a digital shop, and you stick it on and it goes. So the money that you see when the item's paid for, you keep all of. There's no fees. I'm assuming that it's the buyers who are paying the fees on the items, because Vinted isn't charging me to sell anything, and I love this really simple process. And you get all different options for your shipping, so you can decide who you want to use. So I ticked everything. So they have in-lockers, and I have in-lockers literally over the road from where I live. There's also Every, and I've got a newsagent that deals with Every just down the road. There's another one for Yodel, which is on the same road on the opposite side, and there's also post office. So they pay for that shipping in advance. You agree the postage when you do your listing, so it'll be small, medium, large, and it'll just average it. I don't know how much that is. It's just providing package sizes. So a lot of what I sell is medium, which I presume is like £3 or £4 postage. And then the shipping label is emailed to you. You print it out, stick it on your parcel, and you take it to wherever you're sending it from. And it's just so much simpler than faffing around with having to go to a post office or buy your own shipping online and then not knowing how much it's going to be. It's great because the item that I sell is the price that it is. So although my prices are a little bit lower on Vinted compared to eBay, I'm not being charged fees. I'm not having to deal with the postage, because sometimes when you take a parcel to the post office, the postage has gone up, or it's a bit heavier than you thought, and the postage that you charge to your buyer, you might lose some money on, like, I don't know, 50p a pound or something. So you don't have to deal with that, and I really like that. I like the Vinted app. The app is really easy to use. It's really easy to load stuff up, to get listings on. Much easier than eBay, which I absolutely hate. So I got rid of the eBay app because I was not enjoying that at all. So we're starting off well. I only have a limited amount of stuff I need to get rid of. I'd already got rid of quite a lot on eBay, and it's really just to clear out. I'm not planning on becoming like a second-hand seller. I just wanted to clear out. I wanted to get rid of stuff that I'd been hanging on for too long, that I just wasn't going to wear again, I wasn't going to use again, and I think I'm going to list some more stuff. Shoes do not sell on eBay at all, but I've sold a pair on Vinted, and I have a huge cardboard box full of shoes left over from my days when I used to do a lot of photo shoots, and I would take shoes to the shoots for the models. I'm a size 7, which is a fairly standard size for models because they're quite tall. I'm not, but I clearly have bigger feet. So I used to always take shoes to shoot. So a lot of the shoes that I've got are really nice, swanky evening out shoes, really nice shoes with very little wear, because they tended to just be used in a studio. So I think I'm going to dig that box out and shovel that on there and get rid of those for, you know, £2 or £3. You don't get a lot. I'm selling dresses for a fiver, but it's not like selling on eBay where you sell it for a fiver and then you lose fees, so you might only make £2 or £3 out of it. You get the fiver, so I'm really pleased with that. So I'm recommending Vinted at the moment. Hopefully the sales will continue. I don't mind if it drip feeds. You don't have a listing time like you do on eBay, so you choose 5-day, 7-day, 10-day auction, and then you have to relist it. And I know that eBay does a lot of free listings, but you know, somewhere along the line you're getting charged. With Vinted, you stick it on the site and it just stays there until it sells, or until you decide to take it down or update it. You can always change the prices if things don't shift. You can add bumps, which is where if you pay, I think it's 85p to £1. I got one for 85p when I first joined, and then they all seem to be £1. But you can bump and it'll push items to the top of the search results. It worked really well on my first item, which I sold in 24 hours. That might have been a special bump because I bumped another item a couple of days later just to see how it did, and that has not sold and it hasn't had half as many views. So I'm suspicious that the paid bumps don't do as well as the free one they give you at the start. That might be an algorithm thing, I'm not sure. It might be a way to encourage you to try and spend £1 on a bump. But I haven't bothered with any of the other items, and I've sold another 3 with no bumps at all. So I'm just going to list the hell out of everything and see what I can shift. As I say, I don't have an enormous amount of stuff. I think I've got about 10 garments on there, but I've probably got about 10 pairs of shoes as well. There's a few up already. And I've put some of my, all my stuff is pre-loved, and some of it I've altered as well, so I've put it in as pre-loved and altered, so people are getting something a bit different. And I think that might help, because the first thing I sold was something that I had altered. It was a strapless dress, and I took a little bit off the hem and made a halter neck, a tie halter neck for it, and that sold really well. And I don't mind actually with the getting paid when the buyer's happy with it, because it tracks the item all the way, so you know it's been delivered, and they just tick, yeah, I'm happy with it, and the money just appears in your account. So I think this is a really good way to sell secondhand. I've sold more on these sites than I have over on my Etsy store, where I was listing some of the pre-loved, altered and vintage stuff, because Etsy feels pretty dead to me at the moment. eBay, I think, is just really difficult to sell on. It's just got so much stuff on there, and I think Vinted is a bit smaller. It's specialised as well. It just does clothes and accessories, whereas eBay is everything you could possibly need in the world ever, and it's just too much. So I'm really enjoying Vinted. It's been a good start. So I just thought I'd make this just as a recommendation. If you're having a clothing clear out and you're tech savvy enough to use an online selling app, it's a much simpler process, and I am really enjoying it. So I just thought I would give you that update, and I hope that's useful. Thank you for listening.